Hello again, and welcome back to HITC Sevens. This is part 2 of the quickfire questions. That wasn't my initial intention, but I'm so rubbish at answering quickfire questions that the video was so long, it actually had to be split up into 2 parts. The camera died, that's how long I took in an episode literally called Quickfire Questions. So my apologies for that, but it means that you get 2 videos, you break it up a bit, A double dose of Alfie, what more could you ask for? All of your Christmases really have come at once. So that's what this is. I'll pick up wherever I left off, and I hope that you all enjoy it. Hey Alfie, who is your favourite footballer to watch of all time? Not necessarily the best or greatest, but the one you always enjoy watching for whatever reason. So, I think I've answered a similar question before, and I probably said Romario, who I was a little bit young for his peak, which was probably around the 1994 World Cup, probably. But if I were to watch YouTube compilation of footballers, which I don't do often, it would be Romario, because I always think he was just so inventive in terms of things that he tried to pull off, different finishes. When he's bearing down, most centre forwards have a go-to finish. They'll knock it to one side. Ronaldo Nazario loved to knock it around the keeper, didn't he, and slide it into an empty net. Rashford loves to absolutely welly it when he's through on goal. Whereas Romario, you just never knew what he was going to do. So, I love watching him. When I was more my era, would be Zidane, was probably the main one. Ronaldinho, obviously. Iniesta, I always loved watching the way that he would always want the ball, never mind how congested it was. And then Messi, I suppose, goes without saying, doesn't it? But there's sort of 5. Romario, the main one, but some others there too. How many World Cups would a UK national team have won since 1930? Since 1930, I think England most likely would have won at least 1, probably 2 of the first 3 World Cups, 30, 34, 38. Had they competed in them, even England on their own. So a UK team, I'd probably say 2 there. Since then, though, I'm not sure. I mean, think now, no offence to the other home nations or whatnot, but not many would get into the England team, would they? Historically, maybe 1974 Scotland had some outstanding players. In 1958, you'd have John Charles in the England team, and who else? Danny Blanchflower, some decent players. So maybe I'd say probably two pre-World War II, and maybe 1 since. Maybe something like 1974, when that was the Scotland team that had, Dalglish, Souness, Hansen. They had lots of very good players. What's your process for putting a video together? Also, what editing software do you use? Thanks for all the great vids. You are very welcome. Thank you for watching them. What's your process for putting a video together? First of all, I have a big list of ideas, and whenever I have a new idea or someone suggests something that I think would be good, I add to it. Then like I said before with research, I'll try and do as much research as I possibly can in the time that I have. And then I start writing, and then I record it, and then I do the images, and then I put it in. In terms of editing software, I literally just use iMovie. I used to use other things, but I found it didn't make much difference, and it took me longer. Thank you for the question. With Chelsea and Newcastle's recent takeovers, have you been impressed with their ownership, and where do you see their future? Well, it depends what you mean by impressed with their ownership. Whether you mean, if you can divorce who the people are from what they've done. Obviously, I think Newcastle's the Newcastle's takeover is shameful, I would argue, but what they've done is, from a footballing perspective, has been very shrewd. The signings that they've made, obviously Eddie Howe has done even better than I thought, and I really like Eddie Howe. Chelsea, very different in terms of the nature of the takeover, who the buyer is, and what they've done. So I've been very impressed with Newcastle from a footballing perspective. Chelsea, it'll be interesting to see whether they stick with Graham Potter. I don't see much has changed in the way of, they've just signed Christopher Nkunku, haven't they? They've always, Chelsea had a bit of a scattergun approach of, this very good player is available, we'll sign them, we'll worry about where they fit in later on. Very different to, say, Liverpool, where every signing, it's like, you know exactly what Klopp wants to do with them, and it's sort of meticulously thought out, and they've allocated. With Chelsea, it's like, he's good, get him in, like, we'll worry about the rest later, which is why they've ended up with quite a lot of players in specific positions, I think. But yeah, so more impressed with Newcastle's at this point. But what is your opinion on influencers such as Thogden, who have clearly been paid to paint Qatar and the World Cup in a positive light? Yes, well, I agree that is clearly what has happened. I believe he's said as much if you look in the description. And I only know that because someone sent me a recent video of his that was, I mean, quite blatant. It was not particularly subtle, the shilling for Qatar in it, I'll put it that way. And I was tempted to make a video about it, and I might still, so I will be brief on that. My opinion is that I'd imagine Thogden does well enough to not need to do that, and yeah, I guess he has to live with whether he thinks that's what he's doing is a good idea. But yeah, I might make a whole video about that, so I'm just going to park that one for now. Why don't you go independent? I would definitely pay for your content. Well, that is very nice of you. Thank you. I suppose I don't, because I worried that there wouldn't be enough people who would like you. So, you know, if you're willing to pay a fortune, then I'm laughing and I'll do it straight away. But for now, I guess I'm too risk averse, and everything is getting more expensive. So I don't want to suddenly up sticks and have no income for however long. If I were to do it, as I always say, I'd probably set up some kind of Patreon, who knows? One of those types of things where people can give you a few quid a month or whatever, and I'd see if that could get me through. And if there was lots of people like you who would, then I could just have videos with no adverts. I'd never have to worry about, oh, is this going to get that many views? I could just listen to what the smaller community wanted and be a bit more inventive and a bit more. Not that I don't already make videos about obscure topics, but yeah. So maybe I will. As I always say, there is a YouTube channel in my name in case that were ever to happen for any reason. Next question is, best player to ever play at Hull City while they were at City. So Okocha was past his best, and Robertson and Maguire became better afterwards. Most impressive whilst actually there. I understand the concept there. I would say ever it would have to be Rach Carter, and probably Neil Franklin when he was fit. Shouting out the Neil Franklin, see if I can get the book in there. Actually, do you know what? You don't even need to buy the book because I've only got about 40 left, and I don't think there's going to be another print. So, but yeah, probably Rach Carter in my lifetime. Maybe Jared Bowen, even though we weren't in the Premier League, he was the best player in the Championship in terms of consistency, output. For a while, Mo Diarmi was fantastic. So was Sonny Aluko before he got injured. So peak-wise, they were good. But yeah, in my lifetime, Bowen, ever, probably Rach Carter. Are you integrated and accepted amongst other content makers? You seem to have your own brand and style. Well, probably not particularly popular with Thogden after previous question and potential future video. No, I'm not really integrated because I don't really know anyone other than, I know like one person, YouTube. I know Ellis from Away Days ish. I've met him a few times, speak to him sometimes. And there's some others. I've spoken to Zealand, the football man. I was supposed to do a video with him, but I think I never got back to him. Sorry if he's watching. Probably isn't. Probably don't watch anymore. Probably before. So no, I'm not very integrated because I don't know barely anyone. That's why I don't get invited to these YouTube football matches or those types of things. Am I accepted? I don't know. I guess you'd have to ask them. You seem to have your own brand and style. Yes, I suppose they maybe have a more homogenous style. A lot of football YouTube people, don't they? But yeah. So yeah, it's not that I'm trying to be distinct from them. It's just that they're doing a different thing, I guess. Can England win Europe for a different audience too? Something for everyone. Can England win? Thogden's audience, for example, seems to be mainly Middle Eastern dictators. So it's his primary who he's trying to appeal to. Can England win Euro 2024 in Germany? Of course they can. Will they? Would be a harder question, but can they? Yes. I would imagine we'll be one of the 3 favourites, and we've got a good tournament record in recent years. Yeah, I'm feeling good about the Euro 2024. What is the best World Cup side during your lifetime? So I am about to turn 27 next month, just to give you some reference there. So during my lifetime, the first would be France in '98, who would be strong contenders to be the best. Not that I can remember. The 2002 World Cup's the first I can really remember. Brazil obviously won that with the RRR, the 3 R's up top, Rivaldo, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho. Again, they'd be up there. I'd probably say, do you know, I'm just going to say Spain in 2010, because I just feel like if they were to play either France 98 or Brazil 02, they would still beat them. I imagine a lot of people would disagree with that, but that's my view. Where will Hull City finish in the league? Will they stay up after a bad start to the season? Yes, well, we're about halfway through the season now, aren't we? So it's not just a start. It doesn't feel like we're right down there, even though obviously we are. So we have to start picking up points at some point. I think we will stay up, yes. And if you ask me where we'll finish, I would guess somewhere 15th, 16th. We've got quite a few players coming back from injuries, so hopefully that gives us a lift, and we have a new manager. So, how many hours of research do you do a day/week on average? Well, I can't tell you a day because sometimes I don't do any research. Especially in my head, I'll do videos in blocks. So I might write 2 videos, record 2 videos, if this makes any sense to you. Over an average week, probably 35, 40 hours. So it'd probably be just under half of my week would be spent on research, roughly speaking. Somewhere in that ballpark. Quickfire. My apologies there, the camera went off. That seems to happen every time I do a quickfire questions, which suggests I am not that quickfire, but the question was, the next question, and we are almost done now. You've attended a lot of football matches. What experience was the best? And I was saying, when the camera so rudely interrupted, the women's Euros final last summer was brilliant, and the semi-final. I enjoyed both of them. I have been to a fair few FA Cup finals, and they're always good. On a personal level, it would be Hull City games. So, first playoff final win 2008, Dean Windass volley. Second playoff final win when Diarme scored 1-0 against Sheffield Wednesday. FA Cup semi-final win against Sheffield United. Final where we went 2-0 up against Arsenal, but lost. Then seeing Hull City in the Europa League. Saw us in Belgium. That was something I never thought I'd get the chance to do. One at the Emirates. We were only the second team to win at the Emirates after Arsenal had moved there. And it was at the time, this has probably changed, at the time it was the longest odds ever that a Premier League team had been and then won. So yeah, that was good. And away at West Brom where we won 3-0 and went top of the Premier League, and the Hawthorns was just empty after about 50 minutes. I just had a very nice day that day. So there's about 10 games that I've given you. Love from India. That's how it starts. Well, love to India too, I guess. Have been following you since a long time now. My question is, would you like to travel to India anytime in the future? If you come to Mumbai, would love to host you. What a lovely question there. Thank you very much. I've been to India once. I went to Goa, but I was quite young. It was 2010, I think. So yeah, quite a long time ago. I would love to go back to India, and if I go to Mumbai, let me know. Is Mumbai the place to go? Is that the best place for a tourist to visit? I suppose. Yeah, let me know. I would love to, but I don't have anything booked. If that's this is another long question. Just heads up. Hi Alfie, what are your thoughts on trans people being excluded from football/sports? Right now we have next to no rights, especially people transitioning from male to female due to our assumed biological advantage. I live in Denmark and I'm not allowed to play for the men's team due to me legally being a girl, or for the women's team due to me being born in a male body. What do you think can or should be done? Well, firstly, that's sad. I'm sorry that you're not allowed to... Essentially, you're not allowed to play any football then, which... obviously doesn't seem very fair. I think, for a start, I think that the sport side of the trans... I don't really like to say trans debate. The trans discourse that is obviously, I think, a bit of a moral panic most of the time. I think people use sport and these very fringe edge cases where a lot of people are like, I'm not sure about that, to make a general case against, all trans rights, which obviously is, most trans people. There aren't that many trans people, and of the total number of trans people, the number who want to become professional sports people is pretty limited. But in terms of sport, I mean, it seems ridiculous to me that, especially at an amateur level, which I'm assuming from the question, that you wouldn't be allowed to just play in either, or whichever one you wanted to. It would seem, especially, football, it's not a combat sport. Even if the assumed biological advantage were right, it wouldn't really make a difference. I'm thinking of when I play sort of 7-a-side or 11-a-side, it's not some high level. So, yeah, I don't know enough about it to say what should be done, but clearly some kind of relaxation, especially at amateur level, would seem pretty obvious to me and common sense. But yeah, I'm sorry that's the case, and hopefully someone sees sense. If you had to make a list of your 5 favourite films, what would they be? 5. Well, I would say The Big Lebowski would be... that's my sort of go-to. I'll probably watch that more than any other film. The Life of Brian, Monty Python. I recently watched It's All Quiet on the Western Front, which is on Netflix. Don't know if you've seen it. Some of you, I'm speaking like there's just one person. There might be by this stage for all I know what. But yeah, that was really good. Apparently that's a remake of a very old German film based on a novel. I've never seen the original, but the new one is very good, I think. Best war film that I've seen. That's 3. I do struggle with these quick fire questions. I like the film Doctor Strangelove. What's it called? How I Learned to Love the Bomb, or whatever it is. That's and I quite enjoyed what was the Don't Look Up. So that can't be a top 5 though, can it? Reservoir Dogs, I always like that. I prefer that to Pulp Fiction, I think. So there you go. That must be 5, surely. Hello, Alfie. I was wondering, what are your thoughts on the Morocco squad, their World Cup run, and what they could do to improve in the future? My thoughts on the Morocco. Well, obviously, first and foremost, that they were fantastic. I can't say I wasn't surprised because I did have them going out in the group stage in my World Cup predictions, I think. So I guess I was surprised a bit. But when you look at their team, they're not like a lot of teams where they have the odd strong player. They've got a nice, even distribution of talent across the pitch, even in goal, like I was saying with Bono, an excellent goalkeeper. So yeah, that's what I think. They were great. And what could they do to improve in the future? Again, this is another one I could make a video about. As far as I'm aware, one of the big things is that they have a lot less corruption within their football association than quite a lot of African and indeed non-African FAs, which has obviously helped. I think all the funding that they get, they actually use quite well. And the Moroccan league is one of the best leagues in Africa. So what could they do to improve? As far as I'm aware, more of the same. But I might make a video about how Morocco have been able to sort of develop their footballing pedigree. Out of Bellingham, Pedri and Musiala, who do you think will have the best career in terms of achievements and individual quality? Also, do you think there are any other midfielders who will be better than these three? Better than those three would be difficult because they are three of the outstanding young players, I suppose. It's incredibly difficult when players are so young. I mean, you look at the trajectory of Dele Alli or someone, it's very difficult to predict. I think Musiala probably has the highest ceiling if everything were to go right. Injuries, attitude, as far as I'm aware, he's got a very good attitude. Bellingham, though, again, the sky's the limit, isn't he? Like, complete midfielder. Pedri is already, it's hard to see how he's going to get even better than what he is now. So, I'll say Musiala has the most potential, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he'll realise it or the others won't. Any other players? Well, not that it'll be better necessarily, but that I'd throw in there. Gavi, I suppose, with Pedri is even younger and could have an even higher ceiling. Florian Wirtz, I like the look of a lot, and Moises Caicedo at Brighton. Maybe that'll age badly, but I just think he genuinely could be like a generational talent, whatever that means. That phrase is a bit like world class now, gets thrown around where no one really knows what it means. But I think he could be very, 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 very good. What are your thoughts on World Cup co-hosts becoming the norm moving forwards? I don't really have a particularly strong view on World Cup I mean, it was quite controversial in 2002, and I think, again, I was quite young, but I believe it went fairly smoothly, Japan and South Korea. Obviously, they're quite reasonably close, as are Canada, the US and Mexico. One thing I would say that clearly it's a bit odd for Qatar, a little micro-state on the edge of Saudi Arabia, to host. Sorry, that time it was my fault. I literally clicked stop recording for no apparent reason. What I was saying is it's a bit strange for Qatar, a tiny country, to host a World Cup on its own, and then Canada, the United States and Mexico to co-host one. Does seem a little bit odd. So I would say probably depends on the country or countries involved. But I don't have a particular aversion to it. I don't think the Euros was a little too spread out. I think they should be. And one of the 2030 bids, what's that? Greece, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, is it? I know that Greece isn't that, but again, maybe just... That's my quickfire answer to that question. Hi Alfie, I'd like to know your thoughts on another penalty question, on penalty shootouts at the 2022 World Cup. Obviously knows I'm an expert on penalties. Most being dominated by one team before the fifth penalty, and whether it would be a justification for ABBA system. They've brought that in the Carabao Cup, haven't they? Where, for those of you who don't know, the first team takes a penalty, then the opposing team would take 2 penalties, and then it goes. So instead of it just being A, B, A, B. You probably knew that. You probably didn't need that explaining. I don't have a view, to be perfectly honest. If it's fairer, is it fairer? Probably. It's probably slightly better. Is it less exciting? Probably not. So, on the snap judgment I've just made now, yes, all penalties should adopt the ABBA system from this point onwards. Yeah, taking a strong stance on that. And the last question, you will be relieved to know, is if you were president of FIFA for a day, it seems unlikely, but we'll weigh out the rest of the question. If you were president of FIFA for a day with absolute power and nobody could say no to your ideas, clearly that is how it actually works, so that bit's more believable. What would you do? I've only got a day. What would I do? I guess I would disband FIFA, probably. Yeah, just sort of just liquidate the organisation so that a new one had to be built up from the ground, and then just release everything, like a massive WikiLeaks, football's WikiLeaks, so that everyone could see everything that. And then what would happen is you'd probably get another organisation built up that was just as terrible, but still, it would be fun to just smash it all up, wouldn't it, anyway? So that's what I'd do in my day as FIFA president. Thank you all for your wonderful questions, and apologies for my dreadful answers, but I hope those of you who waited out this long enjoyed it, and as I say, a Merry Christmas to all those who celebrate, and a fantastic end of December, even if you don't, and a Happy New Year to one and all. Yeah, hit the like button if you did enjoy today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I don't know whether I'll be doing another one of these anytime soon, but yeah, sometimes they're fun. And see you all soon.